What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Crunch Time on a Saturday afternoon. I think everywhere across the U.S. It is in the afternoon if I got some quick math done in my head. Let's pray to let's thank the DFS gods today, people. Both sites have the same slate for basically the first time on weekend history in 2024 for baseball. The schedule was perfect for them to do that, so it should be pretty easy to talk both sites. I'm Britt. Here with my man Tim, here with my man Chief. Tim, what's going on? I missed you for a couple of weeks. How's everything going with Tim?
Everything's going great, Brett. Yeah, it's I've had a couple of weekends off. I've been doing the Sirius XM show with SDL and Eric Vinefor. So I've missed the RG show. I'm doing the XM show tonight at 5 with SDL. So I'll be on XM again, but it's always great to be on Crunch Time and talking some DFS. We got some really good pitching on the slate. Like a lot of, like we talked about it pre-show. There are tons of ways that you could spend your SP2 spot in cash and GPP.
Yeah, Chief. What I heard from Tim is he needs you and me to talk because he has a 2-hour radio show later, and his voice needs to be good. What's going on, dude?
Nothing much. I'm doing good. I mean, it's Saturday, and me and my wife are going to look at a house after the show. Pray for me, guys. We say we're not planning to do it until the end of the year or, right at the beginning of next year. But you know how this goes. You start looking, and the wife says, "Oh, I love this place." Which is,
do all women, Chief? Do they all look at Zillow 24/7 and constantly send you messages of, "Do you like this on?" Do all women do this at all points in their lives?
Well, because we've talked about buying a slightly bigger space. That's opened the door for 2 or 3 Zillow links a day at a minimum, Britt. Just looking at houses and because I worked in the financial industry, prior to full-time DFS, I know what goes on in the sausage factory. And so I'm not paying these high interest rates. It's just certain things I just can't do because I know what's happening. Mm-hmm. And so, pray for me, man. You too, Tim. Not trying to force you anything, but send one up for your old buddy Chief if you ever think about it.
Because what you're saying is you don't want to spend 7.5% on a mortgage, Chief.
Oh, no doubt. You get me back down to 3.5, and we'll have a discussion. But that's not coming right now because we pumped too much money into the economy during COVID, which was necessary.
That's not coming ever again, Chief. At least for like another 10 years.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like we're well past that point now. At any rate, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole because I'll be on this all day. But baseball, it's coming up, and I am going to look at a house today. And I do enjoy the process because it's fun to just hang out with her and spend time with her. But
Chief, don't worry. I get the Zillow links all day long too, my friend. All right. I'm doing this on baseball DFS. I know your pain, my friend. Let's talk Chris Sale. Starting pitching. Yeah, yes, we're playing him. Right? Like, do we need to talk about how good he is? Like, I'm playing him on FanDuel for cash. I'm playing it on DraftKings. Dude's a machine. He's given up 1 earned run in his last 4 starts. He's going at least 6, if not 7, almost every time out with a strikeout.
Just don't let us down against Oakland, okay?
Does anyone have a reason other than maybe ownership from a tournament perspective, which, Chief, I'll get to you in just a second. But, Tim, like, I don't care what he costs. I think that the bat, if you guys subscribe to him, was telling me at least earlier in the day to not play him on FanDuel. I'm overriding that. I don't know what the bat has currently. It might have switched to Sale. It was pretty close. But I'm playing Sale any chance I can get today, Tim.
Yeah, there's absolutely no reason to fade Sale other than ownership reasons. But I mean, even so, I would play it on being overweight him on both sites. He's really having like a career year. I thought Sale was was dust. I watched a lot of Red Sox games living in Maine, and I thought Sale was done, but he is definitely not, and he is deserving of this price tag. And right now we only have him 32% on FanDuel, so that's not horrible. So I would definitely get to, like, if I was making 150, I'd definitely be getting to like the 65-70% range for Chris Sale in GPP.
Yeah, it really limits what you can do. Chief, what's your thoughts on Sale quickly from a tournament perspective today?
I'm just playing him. I mean, I think he's the best big spend, and so if I'm going to go all the way up, I'm playing Sale, and I'm going to get rid of Ryan for what it's worth. Like, I'm just going to go all the way up.
Yes, I would agree on that. And like Joe Ryan, he has the ability, and he's done it against some good teams this year, to have those double-digit strikeouts. But Tim, to me today, Ryan, I think like Chief said, just go right past him. Go to Sale. Ryan's not even in my conversation for cash. And in general, SP2 is really fun today. I think there's, from a tournament perspective, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 guys you can throw in there today. From cash, it's a little narrower. You're probably, if you're spending up on Sale, at least on DraftKings, you're probably going to need a cheapie. You can make things work if you want to go Sale and Bradish, or Sale and maybe Framber. You can make it work, but I'm going down to like this sub 8K tier, even the sub 7K tier. There's a couple guys that are really nice. So Tim, what are your thoughts overall for SP2 today to pair with Sale? Are you spending, or are you going a little cheaper?
You're absolutely right, Brett. There's like 4 guys that you could conceivably pair with Chris Sale in cash. I'm going Robert Gasser at 6,800. I'm going to play him in both my single entry and my cash game team. And then I got like just made fun of like aggressively by Will Priester when I said that pre-show, and then you guys started talking about Reese Olson, who I'm not going to play in cash, but I think that's a really good pivot in single entry. Obviously, I'm not going to fault anybody if they want to play Bradish or Crochet. I think your money is better served though by spending down at SP2. So I'm sticking with Gasser, but I think Reese Olson's certainly interesting for tournaments.
Yeah, I'm on Gasser too on DraftKings for cash. I think he's fine in tournaments. I mean, this White Sox, if you go to Plate IQ, it's a little different. You got to navigate a little differently on the RotoGrinders Premium. But believe me, the Plate IQ is still there. I mean, this is both this and last year, and offense is down this year. So if you go to this year, it gets even more ugly. I mean, this White Sox lineup, Tommy Pham's having, a resurgence. He always seems to do this for like a month or two every year. But I mean, this is an absolutely horrific lineup from the White Sox today. Gasser's been doing good. He's obviously going to regress a little bit. He's not going to keep up a 167 WOBA, a 253 WOBA, and no ISO. He's going to start walking people, right? Like it's not going to be this good, but it can be this good. Again, it's the perfect matchup against the White Sox today. So he's probably my favorite. Olson at 6,300. Chief was asking, what has he done to DraftKings? Is he holding them hostage? Is he like, did he, do something to the higher ups over there? Because there's no way Reese Olson should be 6,300 on DraftKings today. It's against Boston, and I think there's some wind blowing out, or it's hot temperatures. The weather edge is giving a little bump to home runs, but Olson's way too good of a pitcher. I will note he's been a much better pitcher at home this year than on the road. I still don't think that has anything to do with why his price is so low. He's another cheap guy I think you can play on DraftKings. And then probably for cash, those are probably the two. Chief, what are your thoughts on them? And then give me the rest of the player pool, because I think it's probably, what do we got, 18 pitchers today? It's probably at least 10 deep for me today for a tournament perspective.
Yeah, for clarity, for my good friend Tim, I wasn't laughing at Gasser. I just thought Olson was better. That's all it was. I probably did do like oh my God, Gasser or Olson, but that's all. Either way, I know the White Sox are bad. I'm going pretty condensed today because I want to really beef up my Chris Sale ownership. So as I mentioned with my pool, I got rid of Ryan, and I got rid of a host of other guys as well. So I'm going to have plenty of Olson. I'll have Gasser. I'm going to have a ton of Taj Bradley. I'm I'm gonna have some Lively, some Bradish, some Crochet. But I'm basically trying to really get over the field on Sale, really get over the field on Olsen and Bradley. A little over the field on Gasser, not much, about 4 to 5% ish. And then, people aren't really playing enough Lively anyway. And Crochet and Bradish were about 20%. So I'm pretty much right with the field. But that's pretty much what I'm doing. So I guess the guys that I got rid of, let's see. Yeah, I'm not playing Ryan, Valdez, Lorenzen, Marsh, Weathers, Chris Welvet. Like, I'm not playing any of those guys, Brooks, Nelson, Manaya. And just so you guys know, because I think you guys pretty much know how I think about this. If I've got a clump of 5 guys, I'm going to take the 2 guys out of the clump that are typically cheapest that I think are going to perform just as well. So that's why I've got Olsen and Gasser, and I kind of just got rid of all the 7K group. And and then I got, I'm playing Bradley, Lively, Bradish out of the 8K group and got rid of everybody else.
Yeah, the guys I would throw, I didn't MME. I was going to enter a few tournaments for once in my life, but life always gets in the way before the show, so I wasn't able to get into that. But guys who I would have out of my pool today, I think would probably be like Joe Ryan. And I know, Tim, you look at the bat a lot from Cardi. The bat really likes Framber today, but man, his strikeouts, they're disappearing. And his hard contact's going up. It's just, it doesn't look great for him. It's against Minnesota, but he's someone I'm not really on today because you have like Crochet, Bradish, Taj Bradley. Ryan could certainly get there too, right? He has the upside. But then you even look down to guys like Weathers, Manaya, Olsen, Lorenzen against Miami, Criswell even against Detroit. I know we like a couple of Detroit bats, but Criswell could put it together in this one. There's just so many other player, like I think it's pretty deep at pitching today. A lot of different ways to go. You probably have to run more than 10 or 15 lineups to get to some of these guys. I think it's pretty deep. The guys I would certainly be out on would probably be Framber, and just because of the matchup, although he certainly can, his price difference from Sale isn't enough. I'd probably take out Ryan as well. Do you have a take on Framber? We didn't really even talk about him.
Yeah, I wouldn't be that high on Framber. I would say Joe Ryan. If I was making, say, like more than 10 teams, he would be in my player pool. It's obviously not a great matchup, but if you don't want to go all in on Sale, you could make a couple Ryan teams. I think. I mean, he is projected for the second highest raw points on the slate. If Sale happens to bust, perhaps you got huge leverage on the field. You could go Ryan and Gasser to be different. So I wouldn't exclude Ryan if I was like MMEing today. And then Framber's fine. I agree with you. I prefer Crochet and Bradish a lot more. And then Shamanaya, he rates out so well on the bat. That's the guy, like, I'm just not sure I could really click that, but he is extremely cheap. And, the Mets are I don't know, they're the Mets. So I suppose you could roster Manaya, but I prefer Gasser and Olsen quite a bit. But I think Ryan would definitely be in my pool if I was building like more than 10 lineups.
Yeah, Manaya's cheap. I think even Weathers, the Texas lineup's pretty garbage today. If you scroll through and see who's actually in the Texas lineup today. Lively's interesting. We got CJ Abrams, who's basically by far the best Washington bat. He's out. So that's an uptick for him today. Just pitching's really deep today. Which we're not really gonna have, like, I don't want to roster. Maybe there's like 1 or 2 hitters I'm actively like, yeah, I got him on my team today. Well, we'll talk about that in just a minute. But I think that's going to wrap up pitching. Chief, I want to go to you from offense, right? We have Atlanta. They're down Ronald Acuna. They got the biggest total on the board by far. Acuna wasn't really having a Ronald Acuna season to begin with. Offense is down in general. They've got a huge total. I mean, it still looks good. Harris, Riley, Ozuna, Olsen, Albies, Darno, Duvall, right? These are still, they're missing players, but they're still a pretty good offense today. Are they number one for you against Aaron Brooks, who, his ERA looks good, but due for some serious regression probably coming today?
Yeah, they're definitely up there. I plan on having a ton of Braves. I mean, we got Harris leading off today also. So I would say Braves are top 2 for me on this slate for sure. I've got another team that I actually really like as well, but Braves for sure, top 2 for me, for sure.
What about you, Tim? Where else are we going outside of the Braves if we're looking around for offense in general today? Pretty tough because we have so many pitchers we want to use.
Yeah, it is. It is really tough, and Atlanta is my number 1 stack on the board. I agree with Chief though that there's definitely some really strong stacks. I'm actually really high on the Tigers, as gross as that sounds. But I mean, I think there's some.
Get out of my head, Tim. Get out of my head.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay. So yeah, I mean, definitely some extremely cheap pieces. Criswell is a decent pitcher, but he's nobody that we have to stay away from necessarily. So I'm really high on the Tigers as like a cheap-ish stack. And then Atlanta is going to be obviously extremely popular. They're quite expensive. I love them. I don't know. I saw that. Was Roth worried about this Royals game by chance? Did I read that wrong? I can't remember. But
there was to me from the last I saw, there was nothing to really worry about. The thing was I believe it was the Braves game had a little bit of a. If there's anything, they would just delay it. I gotta let me try to find it. MLB. Oh, I got Weather Edge, DFS. Where am I going? NFL weather, MLB weather. All right, I found it. We've got the Chicago game, basically. I don't see really anything to worry about for the slate today.
Yeah, because I really like the Royals today. Musgrove was scratched. They get Randy Vasquez. I know that Perez is pretty expensive and Witt's really expensive too, but maybe you probably can fit them with a Sale Gasser team or a Sale Olsen team and get to a couple pieces of this Royals stack. And then fill in with some Tigers. I absolutely love that. So I think that is an interesting way to build a tournament team.
All right, let's start going position by position. Tim, I'll stay with you with catcher today. I don't know if you're playing Sale, which I think we all are on DraftKings. I think it's very hard to spend up at the catcher position today. I basically couldn't get any catcher I really wanted to use today. So I'm down towards the bottom of the barrel, basically starting with Freddie Fermin, 3,100. There's a couple other cheaper guys too. What are you looking at a catcher today?
Freddie Fermin's fine, but Darno is only $700 more, so I'm prioritizing Darno. I think he's the play of cash. Fermin's okay. I think Jake Rogers at 2,600 is decent as well. If you wanted to pay way down, Nick Fortes is 2,200. So those would be like my two absolute punts if you're trying to squeeze in some bigger bats. But personally, my cash game team is Darno.
All right, Chief, tournaments. Anyone standing out to you, catcher?
Plenty of people. Started with Sal Perez at 5,800, who he's really expensive, and so if you want to get him in, you've got to intentionally get him in. I feel like I've mentioned this guy on every show I've been on for the past few weeks. Ryan Jeffers. I just keep playing Ryan Jeffers at 4,800. I mean, I know, he's facing Valdez. I don't really care. Like he may strike out, but he's got so much power to send one out of the park. So Jeffers makes the list yet again for me. If you want some cheap power, I think this is a worse spot for him than Jeffers, obviously. But Gary Sanchez is another guy that's going to hit a home run or fly out or strike out. And so at 3,500, I think he's viable as well. And then at the bottom of the list, I think we talked about did we talk about Fortes? No, not Fortes. Knizner, Andrew Knizner. I like Texas today. Their team I'm going to be playing, so he's a part of my stack. But at 2,100, if you just need ultimate salary relief, I'm not saying he's great. I'm saying he's cheap.
Yeah, I think today, if you're paying for Sale and you're willing to sacrifice a position, I think Darno's fine. But I have no problem going all the way, just literally punting the position with the cheapest catcher today to get some of upside maybe at a couple other positions personally.
And obviously Darno at 3,800. I didn't mention him because Tim mentioned, but he's 3,800. You just play him.
Tim, first base. I'd like to play a Matt Olson or a Naylor or even a Sal Perez. You can throw him at catcher too, but I don't know, salary with Chris Sale, it becomes very tough to do that. And it's not really, I don't know. There's no one I really want to roster for their salary on the entire page on either really DraftKings or FanDuel. Maybe like the first guy I'm really interested in just because of his price. I think it's on FanDuel's Jake Berger. He's so cheap. He's finally started to hit, and you get Lorenzen, who's really giving it up to righties this year. DraftKings, I don't know. You're almost forced to spend up a little bit because nobody's really good. I don't know. How are you handling it?
Yeah, so on DraftKings, Jake Berger is first base, third base. So depending on what you want to do at third, you could play Berger at first. That's not what I'm doing. I'm prioritizing Matt Olson because I think you're right, Britt, that they kind of are forcing you to spend up a little bit at first. I'm not going to compromise and go with like a Vinny P when I could have Olson for $500 more. Yeah. So I think Olson is the clear top option. And, don't forget, like my thought today is, I'm going Atlanta, Detroit. So I can go some of these expensive guys and get dirt cheap with some the Tigers bats. So Olson for me is the clear best option for cash.
All right, Chief, what are you looking at first base today?
So I really like San Diego today for what it's worth. And so I will have some Cronenworth. I think at 4,200, I know you can get him at first or second, but I like him a ton. Batting cleanup, very reasonably priced. So I did want to highlight him because he's a one of my top priorities at first. I'm with Tim on Olson. I just think, man, it's a really, really, really good spot for him. I don't hate if you want to hunt for some power, like Pete Alonso facing Ciccone today at 4,800. I'm perfectly fine with that. Vinny Pasquantino at 4,900. Perfectly fine with that. Like those are some of my top options.
All right, second base, Tim. What's that looking like for you today?
So second base is the position that I think is pretty bad today. Like obviously you can play Marcus Semien, Ozzy Albies. They're great plays. But this is the position that I'm going to be, cutting some salary. Colt Keith right now, 2,800. I'm playing in cash games, batting fifth against Boston. I think you could also play Brandon Lau, even though I like Bradish quite a bit. Lau's only 3,100. Otto Lopez is 2,700. So, there's all these guys that are really, really cheap because I don't need to prioritize Semien and Albies, obviously, or Altuve or Marte. I'm definitely saving at second base.
Yeah, I think it's a position too. I think Keith is fine. I know you're probably on a couple of the other cheaper Detroit bats. McKinstry is not making it onto my team today. I don't care how cheap he is, not playing that dude. But I do think Keith, a little higher up in the lineup, having a little bit better season. I'm certainly on board with him today. What about on FanDuel? Are you still doing that? I don't know if you're on FanDuel, but Araya is a second base. He's just 2,900. He's been hitting pretty good since he's been over in San Diego. Do you think he's a reasonable play at that price tag? Probably not on DraftKings, but FanDuel I think is pretty nice.
I'm definitely not going to be playing him on DraftKings. 2,900 is completely fine. Again though, Colt Keith is 2,400, so it's like it depends on how many big bats that you want while playing Sale. So,
and then Chief, what are you doing second base? Again, I'm with Tim. It's very hard for me to click the Semiens, the Altuves, the Atlanta second baseman. I don't know. It's just a position I'm trying to save on as well. But in tournaments, you can flip that around and get some low ownership, specifically on Albies today.
Yeah, I'll have Albies. Obviously, I'll have Semien. I'll have Arias just because a lot of those guys are part of my stacks. One guy that I did want to mention that's going to be a part of my Met stack is Jeff McNeil at 3K. I mean, he's batting the 7-hole. Yeah, I know it's not like the best spot in the world, but I'm just not afraid of Ciccone here. And so at 3K, I think he's another guy you can add to the cheap list.
All right, let's go to third base. Now let's talk Austin Riley on FanDuel. He's 3,200. Tim, do you think that's a reasonable price for him today? Going up against who is that? The Oakland pitcher? It's Brooks, right? Yeah, Aaron Brooks. Yeah. I think he's fine over there. You mentioned on DraftKings you can do Burger first or third. You probably want to have Burger on your team on DraftKings at some point, specifically if you're using Sale. It just helps you save, and he's got power upside, and it's taken him all season. He's finally putting some offense together.
Yeah, I think you should play Burger on both FanDuel and DraftKings in some capacity, batting fifth. So Burger is my cash game third baseman. If you have the money, obviously play Riley on DK, but I don't have all the money, so so definitely going to be Burger for me. I don't mind. I like Matt Verling for tournaments, batting leadoff for 4,300. I like him quite a bit. I also don't mind Rafael Devers, who I think is going to get really low ownership, only 4% currently on DK. So there's some really standout third baseman that you can pivot to off of Burger.
He's not hitting home runs every single day anymore, Tim. We can't play him anymore, right?
I don't agree with that.
I don't either. I think he is very interesting. Just the high price, and then against Olsen, certainly going to keep his ownership down, and it's very obvious by looking at the projected ownership. Chief, overall third base spending, saving. I think this is a position you can definitely. There's a lot of variety, I think, for tournaments you can pull from here.
Yeah, for sure, variety. Michael Garcia, part of your Kansas City stack, got it. I love. We'll be playing him. You've got if you want to go all the way up, like I don't hate Jose Ramirez today. Like he's going to be very different because you'd be going all the way up. I think that's a tournament play though. But would play him in cash, obviously. But in tournaments, I definitely think he's a guy that you could get to. And then it's just I'm kind of up or down today. I'm not really playing anybody in the middle like Bregman or Toro, maybe Veerling, but like generally speaking, I'm all the way up or I'm down here playing, McKinstry or Danny Mendick or something. And I'm not actually playing Danny Mendick for what it's worth, but I'm in that range. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Jose Miranda at 3,600, I think is fine.
All right, let's go to shortstop. I know Tim on DraftKings is probably going to be playing McKinstry. Am I correct on that? At 2,100, you're just going with the Tigers there?
I am. That's what I'm doing. I'm not proud of it, but I am going to do it.
Yeah, he might be one of the worst hitters in all of baseball. But that's the reason he's 21. He gives you access to some of the other things. I understand that it's a reasonable spot.
I get to play 4 expensive Atlanta bats, which I love. So
yes, I understand that completely. The other reason is I don't want to outside of Bobby Witt, who's 6,400, is a little unattainable on a Chris Sale salary. It's not a great position. So I understand why you're doing it. If you weren't playing him, do you have a favorite other guy? Obviously, it's going to be Bobby Witt, but 6,400 is a very tall task. Yeah,
so I'm trying to think of like a pivot away from McKinstry at like a cheap salary piece, and there really isn't any. Like I don't want to play Tim Anderson at 2,500. I don't want to play Paul. Baseball. Right, exactly. I don't really want to play Paul DeJong at 3K or Kevin Newman at 2.8. So for me, McKinstry made a ton of sense for my lineup build. If you have the money and you can't quite get up to Witt, Corey Seager is a very strong play. Left on left, still a great play. Lindor at 4,700, I think is fine. But this is again a position that I will be punting.
Yeah, I totally get it with McKinstry. Chief, what are you doing? Are you using a lot of McKinstry, or are you going to that high tier? If you get Bobby Witt, our projected ownership, I'm looking at it. I mean, we have him as the highest owned shortstop, and I think I understand that. But he is, unless you're doing Witt if you're using Sale and Witt, I mean, you're basically forced into the Tigers, and then all your lineups start looking the same like everybody else on DraftKings today. So, what's happening for you at shortstop, Chief?
I think my differentiators, Carlos Correa and Francisco Lindor. Those are my two that are in the mid range that I really like. I'm not as high on Valdez today as the bat, so Correa at 4,200 batting in the 2-hole today. Lindor leading off against Ciccone. Those are two good plays for me that I've got incorporated.
All right, Tim, let's go to the outfield in general today. Let's start at the top. Would you rather Tatis or Marcell Ozuna if you're spending up, or you've got Garcia as well? I think he's probably a clear number three between those. So do you want Tatis against Marsh, or do you want Ozuna against Brooks if you have to choose up sort of towards the top today?
I'm going with Ozuna. If people want to go Tatis, that's completely fine. I'm sticking with the Braves. I'm also going with Michael Harris. So I absolutely love that he's batting leadoff and only 4,600. Jazz is a really good tournament pivot. So is Riley Green. It's definitely a Wensiel Perez I really like today also. Probably not for cash, but definitely a great one-off or part of a Tiger stack. Jaron Duran, I think, is a fine play also. 5,100. And then we got some cheaper guys like Nelson Velasquez, Eddie Rosario in the mid-range. So there's definitely quite a few places to go. And, of course, we have guys like Jesus Sanchez, who's still only 3,200, and he's fine in cash or as part of a Miami stack.
Yeah, I think that's all. Green on FanDuel specifically at 3,100. That's one of the more like must-play offensive players of the day, in my opinion. That's one of the more mispriced. Riley Green going up against Criswell over there. Probably a little bit too expensive on DraftKings if you're using Sale and an Olsen and guys like that. But yeah, you can make it work. Michael Harris is nice. I'm too. I basically split. I've got Tatis on FanDuel because he's 100 cheaper than Ozuna, and I've got Ozuna on DraftKings because he's 100 cheaper than Tatis. And I needed that $100 to make everything else in my lineup work today, so I'm playing the price game between those two. I probably, if I had the extra $100, I would play Ozuna. I think Ozuna is the play over Tatis if you're looking up to spend today. Chief, what are you doing? You've got a couple, the Tigers are good. I know Tim's on those. I think the outfield specifically looks nice for a few of them today. What are your thoughts on them? And then, you can even mix in who's the Texas? Duran is what, 2,700, and he's up in the 5th hole today for Texas. I think he's a reasonable salary receiver. Probably more so on
Wyatt Langford also.
Yeah, he's like 3,600 today. Yeah, he's reasonably priced. How are you handling maybe the cheapies today?
Yeah, definitely playing, a lot of cheap bets. And a lot of the guys I'm basing them, off of the stacks. So like MJ Melendez in the 7th hole at 3,400 makes the list just because he's a part of the Kansas City stack that I want to play. Robbie Grossman, who's a little bit better from the right side of the plate, facing Weathers in the 3-hole at 2,800 today for Texas. He makes the list. If you want to hunt for some old school power, what we're going to call a lefty masher, old school, Randall Grichuk at 2,700. If you want to throw him in for tournaments, I definitely think he's fine. Ezekiel Duran, obviously Texas just got a lot of cheap outfielders today, so I really like him. Manny Margot, I do like Minnesota against Valdez today. Manny Margot leading off at 3,300. I don't like Manny Margot in terms of real life. I don't think he's that great, but from a fantasy perspective, playing the Minnesota stacks, I really like him. And then all the way up, I do like Adolis Garcia, obviously, but I'm with Tim here. Like Michael Harris to me is probably one of the best outfield plays today. Really, middle of the road price, leading off, a lot of good bats behind him, and facing a let's call him a gas can pitcher for the sake of what we're doing. I really like him. So that's kind of where I'm at for tournaments today.
All right, we got about 10 minutes left. We'll take some questions. Real quick, I want to go back to pitching. Maybe some people tuned in a little bit late. Tim, real quick, give me your thoughts. Cash, DraftKings, Cash, FanDuel's Chris Sale across the board. There's really no reason to go from him. What are we doing with DraftKings for SP2 outside of Sale?
Yeah, so outside of Sale, there's a few options. I'm going Gasser at 68. I think people could also go Crochet or Bradish. And you could also go Olsen. So really, there's a wide range of options that you can play with Sale.
Yeah, I'm on Gasser. I think Olsen would probably be number 2 for me if you need to save a couple of dollars. And then I don't know, I'd probably, if you were doing double, would you take Crochet or Bradish? I think Crochet's been so good against so many people, but Bradish against the Tampa Bay Rays have kind of fallen off. If you were doing sort of the double premium, who would be more likely to make it for you today, Tim?
I probably Crochet. I think he has a higher ceiling.
He's been lights out even against a hot Milwaukee team. He's probably going to have a reasonably good day today. Chief tournaments, real quick. Give me 30 seconds. Who's in the pool?
Let me get back to my list. You said 30 seconds. It will be less than that. I have Chris Sale, Garrett Crochet, Kyle Bradish, Ben Lively, Taj Bradley, Robert Gasser, Reese Olsen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 7 pitchers in my pool for tournaments today.
All right, and just to recap, you've knocked out Joe Ryan and Framber Valdez, I believe, from your pool as actors for guys up towards the top that people might be playing. All right, let me see. Favorite stacks from Bossbra in the YouTube chat. You can talk in YouTube chat if you're in the RotoGrinders Discord. I'll get the live stream chat up. We'll get questions from both of them here. But top stacks, Chief, who are you looking at?
Atlanta, Texas, the Mets, the Tigers, the Padres, the Royals.
And then, Tim, anyone else you want to add to that?
I'm pretty high on the Tigers. I don't know if Will said that or not.
Yeah, Tigers and either offense in that. Obviously, Atlanta. Either offense in that Kansas City game looks pretty juicy to me. I'll even throw out Cleveland. I think Cleveland's a little bit. I do not want to play David Fry. I mean, this dude's just mashing left and right anything that comes at him today. So there's a home run already. Thanks to Beer Makers fan from Scores and Odds. Hit the bases, hit the home run, hit everything last night. If you're looking for a bet, one of the things I'm on, if you can get the Braves at minus 150 on the run line for 1.5, I think that's good. I legitimately think the Braves only need to score 2 runs today for you to get that. I think there's a shutout looming by Chris Sale in the bullpen today against Oakland.
That would be nice.
Yeah, that's what I'm for. Let's see here. Jerry wants to know Urshela or Tatis. This is FanDuel Cash. So, Tim, I'm going to throw to you. Urshela, Tatis, or Ozuna and Grit. It's pretty easy, the second one for me today.
Yeah, it's definitely the second one for me.
Yeah, let's see. I'll get to the Discord in just a second. Marte or Semien at second today. It's neither for me. I don't like. I'd probably be Marte if I had to choose, but I'm not on these guys at second base today. I'm on Tim's favorite Colt Keith Tiger today. He's cheap enough on both sites. Good way to save money today.
Sound good, Tim? I'm done on either one. Yeah, I think you should spend down at second.
All right. Diamondbacks against Manaea today. Chief, what's your take from a tournament perspective? Probably not my first, probably not my 10th, not my 15th or 20th, but I don't know. Manaea's been reasonably good. I know the bat likes Manaea today. The Diamondbacks a little underperforming. I know Corbin Carroll is cheap, but that was an X for me, not playing him. How are you handling that against Manaea?
They just didn't make my list. So I don't think they're a bad team, like generally speaking, but they didn't make my list today. So I'm not playing like really any Diamondbacks.
All right. Gregorius wants to know, Tim, he's got 4,300 in the outfield on DraftKings. Who are we playing?
Okay. All right. Well,
I know exactly. I mean, he's 4,300 is your Tiger, Matt Vierling.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
That's probably I would probably say that. Yeah, I would say that as well. I would also say you can go. There's a couple cheapies. If you're needing to spend up somewhere else, you've got Velasquez at 3,500, and I'm staring at what I've clicked and about to submit. I've got Duran at 2,700 from Texas just to get the rest of the things that I want in my lineup out there. If you're looking for an ultimate salary saver, but if you're at 4,300, Vierling is definitely the guy, right, Tim?
It's either Vierling or Tyler Freeman.
Mm-hmm.
I like Freeman a lot too.
Tom wants to know DraftKings cash, Grichuk or Duran. I'm a little Grichuk might, depending on whatever happens. I mean, he could be in for 2-3 at bats. I'm on Duran. I expect him to play the full game a little bit more. Anyone have a take on that? That's just I want a guy who I know is going to get 3, 4, possibly 5 at bats. Not so much on Grichuk. Maybe Grichuk's probably going to end up playing the game. He hasn't played too much this year. They might keep him in there. Anyone else? I'm just rambling.
Yeah, I would side with you on that one, Brett.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Duran. Favorite single entry stack on FanDuel, Chief. What's that? If you're playing Sale and you're trying to get the Braves in there, I mean, it's not really coming together too well. So what are we doing?
I'm probably playing the Royals or the Padres. One of the two.
Yep, I think that's pretty reasonable take. Let me see. I think that does it for the Discord at the moment. I'm going to go back to YouTube. Anyone have any other bets, anything they're looking at today? Tim, Chief, Chief, you got a prop or anything?
Michael Harris to hit a home run is 520 on FanDuel if you have FanDuel.
I was wishing he was getting a little more power this year. I was expecting him to have a big breakout season. It hasn't really come around. I was expecting 300 average, 24 home runs, something like that from Harris. Hasn't really come around so much this year. But those are reasonable odds. Chief, you have anything? What's the prop of the day from Chief?
Prop of the day. Give me a second. I do like Lively over 17.5 pitching outs. I like Marsh less than 17.5 pitching outs. I also like Reese Olson more than 15.5 pitching outs. And I like Taj Bradley more than 5.5 strikeouts.
That line for Olson seems very low. I think that would probably be my favorite. I know Chris Sale over 18.5 outs, so he's got to go over
I took that on Underdog for like their extra multiplier.
Yeah, it was like plus 150 today. I got it at. If you can find that, I think that's a pretty reasonable bet too. Back to YouTube. Anyone interested in the Red Sox stack today? We didn't really talk about them too much. I just think Olson's really good.
No, but I mean, I don't think Olson gets like 7 strikeouts here. I think he goes 6 innings, maybe gets 4 strikeouts, and maybe gives up a run. Like that's my read on Olson.
All right, here, DraftKings up 2 promo. So I have a strategy that I almost always use for this. I always take a road team. I look for something either close to even money or plus money. Does anyone have a favorite team to go up to today? I think I use mine. I'll look at my DraftKings app right now. I use mine on the Rangers. I used that very early this morning before I saw this craptastic lineup they pulled out. But the Rangers sort of fit that narrative.
They won't let you down today, Britt. Don't worry.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're okay. If you had to pick a team to go up to, obviously the Braves, but I mean that's minus 340. You're getting $2 back on that. Anyone have a take on that?
So you like taking road teams on those? You said, Brett.
Yeah, just because you can win. You can win before the other team even gets offense, right? So
right.
Like,
what about what are the Tigers pay?
Yeah, you could take the Tigers are minus 105. You can go for that. I'm down with that.
Yeah.
I think that sounds good to me. Let's see here. White Sox up to. No, you get the big plus money, but probably I don't think I'd be pulling on the White Sox today to do that. I don't know. I think we got most of the questions. I don't see anything left in either of them that we couldn't get to. We're going to call this a wrap today. I hope everyone does good in DFS and their sports books, whatever you guys have going on today, and especially Chief on the Zillow at the 7.5. You're paying double over everyone pays their mortgage. Well, not everyone pays their mortgage off early, but if you don't, you're paying double for your house than what you used to 5 years ago.
Listen, I'll take this. I know you got to get out of here. My plan is I'm literally going to try to buy the house this time. Like, I'm not. I just can't. I forget the tax deductions I'm going to get from the interest. Like, I'd be paying way too much long term. But that's just me. So you know what I mean? Like,
I wish you the best, Chief, and it's also you're fighting tooth and nail for any house that's even remotely.
Yes, and we live in Charleston, so people they swoop them all up.
Yep. So that's literally everywhere in the United States except in like I don't want to some Midwest where nobody lives there, right? That's basically the only place you can get anything cheap anymore. All right, Tim, good luck on XM. Your voice, are you going to be able to make the XM show, Tim? Your voice was getting a little crackly there at the end. Are you doing okay?
I gotta drink a lot of water, Brett.
Oh boy. All right. If you need something, get my phone number from Steve. I'll save you on a segment or something if you need someone to call it for something. All right. Good luck everybody tonight. For Chief and Tim, I'm Britt. Thanks for watching, and we out you.